G'day Dark Realmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again today. And after being away for a little while through some illness and a birthday celebration, I'm back with the diaries. And today we're going to be looking at a book by one of my favourite authors, Dean Koontz. Hey, if this is your first trip to the diaries, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're looking for the best in horror, books and movies, trivia, Hollywood info, then make sure, please, hit the subscribe button and bell notification and you'll always be up to date. Alright Dark Realmers, today we're going to be taking a look at Innocence. It's a great story and we're going to get into it right now. Yeah! Well, Dark Realmers, I'm unashamedly a Dean Koontz fan, and the very first book I read many years ago, which was in fact my introduction to him, was Watchers, and there was a particular scene in that book that had me in tears, and up until then no other author had done that to me, and I'm pleased to say that I've never been disappointed with any of his works. Some of them impress me more than others, obviously, but the one we're looking at today, Innocence, is just wonderful. It's atmospheric. It has a limited cast of characters, but they interact so well. Now, the basic story is told through the protagonist, and his name is Addison Goodhart. Okay, now Addison is so horrible to look at, so just disfigured or whatever, that he cannot possibly show his face to any other person. Okay, and even his mother, who gave birth to him, has trouble, and she sends him out into the world at 8 years of age because she can know. And straight away you're thinking, God, you know, is he a demon? Is he some sort of hellish person? He's not. He's this innocent, wonderful, charming character who, despite people willing to try and kill him and stab him and all these horrible things, he loves people. Now, I'm going to just read a little bit for you that basically sets up how well Dean Koontz gets us drawn into this character. Having escaped one fire, I expected another. I didn't view with fright the flames to come. Fire was but light and heat. Throughout our lives, each of us needs warmth and seeks light. I couldn't dread what I needed and sought. For me, being set afire was merely the expectation of an inevitable conclusion. Okay, that's the first few lines from the book. Now, straight away, we have no idea who this character is. We don't know if he's a protagonist. We don't know if he's the antagonist. But the fact that he's calmly accepting being set on fire by whoever immediately draws us in. We have that automatic human reaction, oh, that's horrible, this poor thing, this poor person. Now, of course, a few pages later, our attitude may change, but it doesn't, because Addison is this wonderful, naive character. He lives underneath the city, and he's very much like, and I don't want to use comparisons, but he's very much like Vincent from the television series Beauty and the Beast. He loves the city. He's very educated. He knows his way into the underground vaults and the way to get into the basement of the city's libraries and municipal, and he reads and he absorbs knowledge, and he can only, and we get a, because he can only venture out at night, we get a very strong feeling from Dean Koontz about, you know, the conditions he lives in, and almost like these mouse-like you know, descriptions of him scuttling along, you know, dry sewers, gaining entrance into you know, different buildings, and so forth. Now, throughout the novel, we're constantly wondering, what is so horrible about this Addison? What makes him so hideous looking that people would actually want to kill him on sight? Now, into the story, at a certain point, very early on in the story, he meets a girl called Gwyneth who's dressed like a goth. She has a social phobia. She can't bear being touched or being too close to people. And because Addison can't stand anyone to see him and has to keep himself covered up, they bond. And it's a love story. And like I said before, it's a little bit like Beauty and the Beast, but it's not on that sort of love level, if you know what I mean. Their love, Addison has found someone who isn't afraid of him, who he can relate to intellectually, and he yearns for a physical love, but he knows that's not going to happen because of the way he looks and because of Gwyneth's social phobias. Now, as the story progresses, we find out from Gwyneth that she's being hunted down by her father's former business partner, who actually murdered her father and is now set to try and murder her. And Dean Koontz does psychopath really, really well, guys. This one, to me, was a little bit over the top, okay? But there was a wonderful sense of menace with this character as he tries to track her down, and her father, who was very astute and knew that his daughter was going to have problems in life, set her up with a whole range of different apartments because he was very wealthy, so that she was never in the same place. So she has this mouse-like quality where she's sneaking around and keeping herself out of sight. And the story progresses, obviously, with the cat and mouse game of Gwyneth and Addison both trying to outwit this psychopathic killer, who is, in one sense, getting closer and closer to them by finding her friends and people she associates with and killing them and letting her know that he's on the trail. And it's just engrossing because there's a sense that we love Addison. His name says it all, good heart, okay? And there's a sense of he's childlike, even though he's in his 20s now when this story takes place. He's very childlike, and he loves humanity despite the horrible things that people want to do to him. And the ending is just magnificent because everything comes together in a beautiful bind, and it's when you find out what Addison is and what his disfigurement is, you will just be going, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, but throughout the novel you'll be wondering, oh, are we going to find out? Maybe he's he'll take off his ski mask or his balaclava in front of Gwyneth, maybe there's going to be that moment. So there's always that sort of level of tension where you want to find out more and more, Dark Realmers, and it keeps you reading. Look, I can highly recommend this book, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Dean Koontz fan. This is one of his better ones. It's not pure horror, it's more like a dark fantasy with a little bit of supernatural love thrown in, but also with hints of the future. Okay, these two people, and that's all I'll say, they have something to do with the future. So if you want something that isn't bloody and gory, something that's got wonderful characters you can relate to, I'd really recommend Innocence by Dean Koontz. Now, obviously, being Dean Koontz, you can find this book anywhere, okay? And I highly recommend it to you, either in any form. I particularly enjoyed sitting back on the couch and reading it, but you might enjoy it in audiobook form. But I think this would make a fantastic movie, Dark Realmers, okay? Alright then, there you go. That's my review of Innocence by Dean Koontz. Check it out for yourselves, and if you've one of the people that have already read it, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, Dark Realmers, okay? Or has this review sort of sparked your interest in reading it and picking it up for yourself and putting it on your to-be-read list? I'd be really interested to know. Alright then, Dark Realmers, well that's it for the first of our Dark Realm Diaries for this week. I'll be back again very soon with some more Dark Realm Diaries, but until then, remember what I always say, if you're going to read books by Dean Koontz, especially about someone who lives underground in dry sewers, make sure you read it with plenty of light. Okay, bye.